guys, I am here to show you my dip powder routine. I have talked about it a couple of times in my recent vlogs and I wanted to walk you guys through it because I know a lot of people had commented saying they wanted to see it. So just a little background, I have previously done gel polish, which requires an LED or UV light. I was doing it with LED, so all of my gel polishes are LED curable. And then my issue that I found with gel over the years is that even though it's beautiful, it's chip free, there's no dry time, it's still, my nails were still weak, of course, and so my nails could bend, they could catch on things, they could break. So I can't remember really what made me try dip powder. I think I was going to the salon with a friend and I said, you know what? I'm not gonna pay somebody to do gel on me, but I will pay them to do dip powder on me. So I had that done and I just really loved it because it made my nails so thick, strong, I should say. And, you know, they didn't catch, they didn't bend, and I could go a week, 2 weeks without having to change my polish or, you know, have to fix things because they chipped or broke off. So I'm going to show you the company that I mainly use for dip powder. I'm going to show you the tools that I use, some kind of prepping tips that I have, and then I'm going to walk you through doing the actual manicure. Right now you can see my nails are really, really short. Side note, my fingers are extremely swollen because I am 6 months going on almost 7 months pregnant. I am missing obviously my engagement and my wedding ring. This one is still a little loose so I can keep it on, but I just took those off today and it's so weird to see my hands without them. But my fingers are just getting too swollen. And yes, my nails are super short. Some of them are really, really short. So I am wanting to do what's called the coffee filter or tea bag trick, where you can put either a coffee filter or a tea bag on your nail, do a couple of different steps, and then it becomes an extension, like a tip, which is so cool. You can use this to fix breaks. Let's say you normally have long nails and one catches or breaks or whatever. You can apply a coffee filter or a tea bag to it and do those steps that I'll show you, and it will keep that length for you. So I'm going to show you that too. I'm going to show you on one nail because it is frankly pretty time consuming at this point for me. So I'll show you one nail and then I'll do the rest, and then we will come back and do the actual application of the powder. But first, let me talk about the company that I use. So the company that I use is Revel Nail. Here's their packaging. And I actually discovered this company back when I was doing gel polish. They started out with gel polish as their main, I guess, their main line, and then they expanded to dip powder. They expanded to dip powder years ago, and I honestly, you know, I continued to get emails from them, and I was like, I'm not doing that, I'm not doing that. You know, I have so much gel polish, there's no way that I'm gonna get into a different kind of nail application just because I have so much. But it happened anyway. So, Revel Nail has a starter kit. The starter kit is 4 liquids. You have your number 1, which is the Probase. Your number 2 is an Activator. Number 3 is the finish gel, and then this is a brush softener. So if any of these brushes get hard, you can switch this brush out for the one that got a little gunky, put it in here, and it will soften it up for you. Then I believe the starter kit also comes with a 2-ounce jar of color. So this is an example of a 2-ounce jar. It's huge, but it's awesome. So that is your starter kit. I believe, I'll look up the price and I'll put it on the screen for the starter kit. So 4 liquids, the 2-ounce powder. I didn't start that way. They were having a deal the weekend that I decided to go ahead and jump into this, where you could buy their new Wanderlust collection, and which was 6 1-ounce powders, as well as the 6 what they call Revel Nail Mates, which are nail polishes that match the color of the powder. And then you got the liquids for free. So that's what I went ahead and did. I bought that collection because it gave me 6 powders to start out with, and then I also got my liquids for free. So, you know, if you find yourself wanting to jump into this, definitely follow them on Instagram. Of course, if you purchase or whatever, you can ask for the newsletter or, you know, emails. So you'll get notified of any kind of big sales. And there are a couple of different Facebook groups that you can join that I will put down below. Now, if let's say you have purchased your liquids, you don't need any more liquids, you can certainly buy them separately. You can buy them as a set of 4, but you can buy them separately if you need to replace one. Like I've gone through a number 1, so I had to buy a new number 1, so that's brand new. And then you can buy your powders. So we already saw this guy just wants to roll away. So right here is the 2-ounce jar. Again, palm of my hand, it's massive. It's really, really big, but it's awesome. And then we have a 1-ounce jar. So here's the 2-ounce and the 1-ounce. And then there are 1/2-ounce jars. So you can buy all of the powders in 1/2-ounce, 1-ounce, or 2-ounce, as long as they're in stock. There are some colors that are, you know, can be out of stock of a certain size, and then you can just decide if you want to wait for it to come back into stock or purchase a smaller or a bigger one. The reason why I have different sizes of some, for example, this is the color Vivian, but it is clear. So this is just a clear dip powder. I used it on this nail. And this is really helpful for if you want to do an accent nail with maybe glitter, a glitter powder. You can put this as your final dip, and you'll see that whole process in a little bit. But you can put this as your final dip, and that way when you're buffing your nail, you're not going to buff away any of the glitter, you'll buff away this clear layer. So I have this in a 1/2-ounce because that's what I assume I'll be using it most for. If I were to do a glitter accent nail, that's just what it will be, an accent nail. So it might be 1 nail at, 2 nails per manicure that I would use it. So I got it in a 1/2-ounce to start, just to kind of see how quickly I can go through it. This is one of the powders actually that I got in that Wanderlust collection, Ola. You cannot purchase these specifically individually right now. So if you wanted to purchase Ola, let's say, you would have to buy that Wanderlust collection, but I think it's worth it. So this is a 1-ounce. I didn't choose this size, it's how it came in the collection. And then this 2-ounce is actually the color, it's flattered. It's actually a color that they are retiring. So I thought that just by looking at swatches online in the Facebook group that I'll put down below, you can search swatches of certain colors and it will show you on real people's nails what it looks like. I decided that I love the color so much on people's nails that I wanted a 2-ounce jar of it because it's retiring, so they're not going to have it anymore. So I wanted to get as much of it as possible. It is a beautiful color, so we'll see if I even end up buying like a backup because it's so, so pretty. So 1/2-ounce, 1-ounce, 2-ounce jars. Speaking of the retirement sales, so they have been retiring some colors. Here's another example of a color that they retired, and I knew that I really love the color again in a swatch, so I went ahead and got a 2-ounce jar of it. So the 2-ounce jars are $15 in the retirement sale. The 1 ounce jars, if you were to get a retiring color in 1 ounce, those are 10. And then the ½ ounce, I believe, are 5 or 7, but I will put all of that information on the screen correctly for you. I have to apologize if I sound out of breath. Again, I'm in my 3rd trimester, so talking quite a bit gets me out of breath. All right, so now I want to talk about some tools that I use. First here, this is a glass file. You can get them on Amazon. Just be careful about, you know, who you buy them from, read reviews and stuff. Some are not legit, so this is a glass file. I will use this for really fine detail if I need it. I use an orange wood stick. I have like 80 bajillion of these guys, and how I'll use that is if I am putting any liquid on my nail and I don't want, for example, the Probase. You'll see me use this. You put this down and then you dip into the powder. It's essentially nail glue. So what I want to do with this stick is clear up all of the walls of my nails, just so that anything that got on the skin of this number 1, it's not going to stay there, because then powder will be there and you wouldn't want that. So I use this for cleanup, basically, before I dip my nails. I have a set of these guys. I will put a link to them down below. I got them off of Amazon. I think there's 4 or 5 of them. I use these for pushing back my cuticles. And then also I will use this in the same fashion as an orange wood stick. So they're all double-sided with a different kind of tool on each end. So this one I will use just like an orange wood stick. Just depends on my mood, honestly, but I can use that to clean up the edges. You can also use that to clean up before you start your manicure. So maybe you went ahead and filed, you buffed, whatever, and there might be some stuff, you know, stuck down in here. You can use that to clean it up. So I will put a link to those down in the description box. This is just a makeup brush. It's a Makeup Geek makeup brush, but the brand does not matter. I use this in between dips. So I will dip my finger, and I will dip all of my fingers, you know, 1 through 5. And then after that, I will take it and brush off the excess powder. This step is not specifically listed on the rules that you will receive from Revel Nail, but I find it super, super helpful and a must do, because it will keep your nails looking thinner, and it won't gunk up your bottles and your liquids as much. So I always dust off the extra powder before I go in with my 2nd and my 3rd layer. So any makeup brush will do, really. This is just a soft kind of like blending brush. I have a kabuki brush that I use, but it's got pink in it because I used it with a bright pink. So I'm gonna keep that, put it to the side for just my pink colors that I do. But this one I'll use for my lighter stuff. So just a makeup brush. Then I have some buffers. This one I got at Sally's. This one I really like for the edges, like the walls of my nails, to try and get a smoother finish. Once you finish your dipping, you want to buff your nails. So I use this to kind of get around the edges. I will also use it to shape up the tops of my nails after dipping as well. And then I just got these guys in the mail. These are 1-inch blocks, buffer blocks from Amazon. And I got them in this massive package, but they come like this, and you just snap them apart. So again, I will put these down below. I figured I was using buffing blocks like this one from Sally's, but it's kind of hard to get in the detail spaces. So I thought I would like this maybe more, and then I can maybe maneuver it a little bit easier, because I can take those points and get them down really close to my nail if I wanted to. And there is a difference in grit. It doesn't say on the package what the grit is, but there is a difference on each side. So I'm going to use one of those for the first time today, and I'll let you know how it goes. A couple of other prep tools. I just did this today. I washed my hands with Blue Dawn before I wanted to start this. I've been having some issues with them popping off recently. Once my nails are done and, you know, good for a couple of days, they're popping off like in just full pieces, which is so strange. But I'm imagining it's just something about my nail bed. You know, maybe my nail bed is a little bit oilier. With gel, they always lifted on me. They always peeled on me because it's just chemistry, your body chemistry. Everybody's body chemistry is different, obviously, and your environment, wherever you're living, is different. So the humidity might be a factor. I'm not sure, but I read that washing your hands with Blue Dawn really kind of dries out the nail beds, honestly. So I tried that today, so we'll see how that works. And these two I got at Sally's. So these, this is a pure acetone, maximum strength. Don't know if that really matters, but it is a pure acetone. So you're going to want a pure acetone to take off your powder. Take off your dip powder when you're ready to change your color. Oh, I have Marley in the room, so you might hear her. And then I also have this. This is a cuticle remover. So you would just open this up, drop some on each cuticle, rub it in, and then you can wait a little bit and push them back. You can also use a tool like this guy. To run around your cuticle to pull up any excess dead skin. That's a really cool tool. I don't know where I got this from though. I'll have to search for it. If I can find something like this, I will put it down below because I really, really love that edge. It's better to me than having to go around and like clip them like they would do at a salon. This is of course like a pushback side, so you can use that for cuticle maintenance. And a couple last things. This is going to be a long video, y'all. I got these. These are lint-free nail wipes. So let's say that you wanted to, you washed your hands with Dawn, but you want to dry your nail beds out even further. You could take one of these and douse it in acetone and then wipe down your nails. I also use these, there's a step when you have to wipe off your nail just to make sure it's dry. And you can use a paper towel, or I just use one of these guys usually. I believe I got these on Amazon as well, so I will link them below. And then my final tool for today, a coffee filter. This is what I'm going to use to make this tip. I gotta tell you guys, it's pretty strong right now, which is amazing to me. So there is that tip, if you can see it. We're about to get some weather here, so it's getting darker outside. I have a lamp right in that direction trying to give us some light, so I appreciate you bearing with me. But this is what I'm going to use for these tips. So let's get started, I think. All right. At the end of this video, I'll go ahead and share with you some of my favorite colors that I have from Rebel. Let me show you though first, before we get started, sorry. I just love, frankly, I love organizing things and labeling things. So this is my swatch ring that I have of all of the dip powder colors that I have right now, except for I think 5 that came in recently. I haven't had time to do the swatch stick on them yet. This is, I guess, another tool that I use. So I got these swatch sticks off of Amazon, of course. So I will link them down below. And if you get into dip powder, even if you have your gel polish or something, and I did this for my gel polish as well. It's just easier for me to figure out what color I want to wear, because truthfully, if you look at it in the bottle or in the jar, it doesn't always look like the color that it's going to turn out to be. So that's why I love, especially with dip powder doing the swatch sticks, so you can really see what it's going to look like on your nail when you're done, or at least really close to it. They are white swatch sticks. I chose to do white because I felt like it would look the most similar to a natural nail compared to a clear. They have a clear option, but I chose the white. So you can do whatever you'd like. So now I'm going to show you how to do the coffee filter trick. I've got a little piece right here, and you really should cut it to fit at least the width of your nail bed. I have some Swiss Army scissors here. I can never be without these guys. And it's going to take some trial and error. That's why this took a little bit of time for me. It's also hard to do it without like big tweezers or something, so that might be something you consider. And since you're just adding a tip on to the nail, I think it's fine if you just go a little bit. I didn't go fully all the way down to my cuticle on this one. So I'm going to do the same with this guy. I'm just going to go a little bit further down my nail, and that should work. As far as the width, that's what I'm most concerned about right now. And then I can just chop off some of it. I don't need it this long either. It doesn't have to be exact. It doesn't have to be the exact length you want your nail right now. I doubt I'm gonna keep my pinky nail that long, but you never know. I was thinking, as I was filing this, I was thinking it would be a cool thing to try like coffin nails or something, some kind of nail shape that, you know, usually lends itself to longer nails. If you wanted to try out a shape, like I kind of want to try coffin nails at some point, but my nails never get that long. So this is a really cool way to try it out. And you're not shaping your nail into that crazy shape. You're shaping a piece of paper. Okay. I also have these I have these tweezers from the Swiss Army knife. They're helpful to kind of, when this is drying, shape that into more of a rounded nail shape like you would normally have that, you know, curves down. So I'm going to have those out. Okay, so what you're going to do, what you'll need is your number 1 and your number 2. I'm going to do a layer of number 1. Again, this is essentially nail glue. I'm pretty sure it's exactly what that is, but I'm not going to make any, you know. Okay, so I'm just going to brush on. Again, I'm not going to go all the way down. I'm just going to brush it on maybe like 3/4 of the nail. I did get some in that side wall, so I'm going to take that off. What I've got underneath me is a layer of foil. All right, I'm going to put this on my nail. Sorry for the reach, guys. I'm also going to use this guy. To kind of mold it on there, because you don't want to really get nail glue on your fingers. That would be not fun. Okay, so now that base, you know, the nail part is on there. What I want to do now is also cover the free edge. So you could also, again, trim this down at this point if you'd like. I'm just going to get some more of number 1 and paint it on that free edge. I'm also going to paint it, sorry. Wouldn't it be funny if the baby kicks me when I'm doing this and it makes the camera move? Because my tummy is kind of close to my, what's that thing called that it holds up your camera? You know what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's where I talk about, or I was mentioning, sort of shaping it, starting to shape it into a natural nail shape. It's a little bit hard the first layer you do, but it'll get a little bit easier when we do a second layer of that number 1. So I'm just gonna let this dry. So, sorry, again, what's underneath me is I have a layer of foil, then I have a towel, like a washcloth size, and then 2 pieces of, or 2 paper towels. Just because I want to protect my work surface. If for whatever reason, especially when I'm removing dip powder, if the acetone were to soak through the paper towel and the hand towel that I have, or the washcloth that I have underneath it, it could ruin your table that's underneath you. So I thought of the idea of putting a layer of foil underneath that to act as a barrier. Some people have used, I just can't find them, those plastic placemats, which is a great idea. So I'm gonna look for those at some point. Okay, I'm gonna leave that length for right now because I don't know what I wanna do. Haven't decided. So now that that's dry, I'm gonna go back in with another layer of number 1. So sorry. Number 1, and I'm gonna take it all the way up to the top. So I don't know if you can see that, but it is kind of turning it in a little bit, which is what I wanted to do. So again, I'm just gonna let that dry for a little bit. This is probably gonna be the longest it's ever taken me to do my nails just because I'm doing this coffee filter tip. I'm gonna need my clear, so I'll bring that over here. I'm sure you could use like any kind of acrylic powder as well. You know, it doesn't have to be the clear from Revel Nail, but you could buy a big jar of acrylic clear and do the same kind of thing for this base layer. I'm going to do a 3rd layer of this, and then I'm gonna dip it into my clear powder. You could probably just do 2. You might even be able to do 1. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll experiment with my other ones I'm gonna apply, and I'll let you know what happens. So to dip your nail, it's so hard to see, but you can either, normally you put it in there and kind of push it, scoop, and you knock off the excess. I'm sorry, the camera will probably shake when I do that. But you knock off the excess. And then here's where my trusty brush comes in. I just brush off the excess powder. At this point, it is still soft. So we use the number 2 step. Mine is pink because, again, I did like a super hot pink manicure at one point, and I didn't wipe off my brush correctly, so it transferred into the bottle, but it still works perfectly fine. You take number 2, and you're just gonna like douse your nail in number 2. This is almost kind of a, I don't know how to explain it. It's like it's a solidifier, basically. It sort of takes all the layers of powder and number 1 that you have, and it kind of melds them all together, makes your nail really strong. So the last step before I filed this nail, this pinky nail, was putting number 2 on it, and it's hard. But, so we're gonna let number 2 dry for 1 minute. You can also use this time to shape that nail a little bit more if you want to. Make it round out a little bit. instead of being, you know, flat across, because the number 2 is not sticky at all. It's almost the consistency of a nail dehydrator, if you're used to that with gel polish. Okay, so that is, I mean, they're a little bit bendable. This one is not as much. So I'm going to, you know, as time goes on, it'll dry more, but I'm gonna go ahead and file it just a little bit, just to show you that you can. And the thing about dip powder, again, is that your nails will be even harder, even stronger feeling with those layers of dip powder on them. So although this one might still be a little pliable, if it doesn't get as hard as like this one does, it will with the dip powder on it. Because normally I will do 3 layers of dip. So I'm going to do the rest of mine off camera, and then I will be back and we will get to dipping. All right, guys, I'm back. I am back after a very long break. So I went ahead and did all of my tips last night, and I filed them down while I was watching TV, Big Brother. And then today, the next day, I'm gonna go ahead and do my color, just because I wanted to, one, I can't film when I'm out watching TV, of course, and I wanted to try and have better lighting. It's, you know, it's midday, and I still have my lamp on over there, and I zoomed in a bit, so hopefully this works out good. But here is, oh, sorry, a close-up of those tips. This one was a little weak, so I kind of reinforced it. I think the best way to go about it is to end up doing 3 layers of this number 1, the Probase, and I dipped powder, I think twice. So that's what I would say. But this is an experiment for me, so I might, if I remember, I'll put a little kind of follow-up in the description box down below, maybe in a week, or let you know how they're lasting. Maybe I'll also put something on my Instagram too. Okay, so now we're gonna get into the color. Normally, if you do not have these tips on, you're not worrying about extending your nails, anything like that, normally your instructions would be to sanitize your hands. So again, I originally did this yesterday, washed it with Dawn, and then you're supposed to buff off the shine, and then you can get into doing your nails. So what you will do is take your Probase, number 1. I'm going to do the color Esme from Revel. I decided, I got this in recently, and I just gotta try it. It's supposed to be like a cobalt blue. Right now in the jar, it looks a little purple to me, but, and I think that's pretty true to color for what's in real life. So you're getting to see what I see. But I think I wanna do a blue, just because I want to see what it looks like, and I can't wait. All right, so I'm going to, I have just a little bit on my brush, which you probably can't see very well, and I'm just going to paint it on. Normally, and I guess I'll do it with this too, you see I'm not going all the way down to my cuticle yet. I'm going to go about 3/4 of the way down the nail. Paint this on. Marley is joining us because she heard some thunder outside. So, all right, paint it on. You want to do it thin because that will help you not have thick nails at the end. And then you want to just kind of scoop your nail into the powder. Ooh, I lost some, but that's okay. Again, the camera might shake when I'm tapping my nail off. Apologize for that. Ooh, and there we go. There's our first one. So let me close up for you. You see how it's not fully down to my cuticle. That helps it, again, wait, did I say this before? That helps it sort of look even, and it has a a natural curve coming up from your cuticle to the very tip of your nail. If you were to do it, you know, full, whatever, it will be very thick and look kind of unnatural. So now we just repeat the process. Be very careful with your bottles that you are wiping off on the inside of the bottle, not the outside. If you wipe off on the outside, it will, it can cause your bottles to basically glue shut and you can't get them open. So don't want that to happen. Again, I'm going to dip in. Oh my gosh, such a cool color. I'm so excited. I'm gonna leave all that excess powder on there for right now, but I will brush it off once I get the whole hand done. So cool. You want to be careful to get all the way down the side of your nail so that you've got powder that will attach. Oh my gosh, every dip I just get more and more excited about this color. Okay, so now I've got a full hand done. Whoa. So now I'm going to take my brush and just lightly dust off the powder. It obviously won't look as opaque when you start brushing off the powder because there's just a layer sitting on top of there that you don't want. I personally do this brush off technique. It's actually not in the rules, or not in the rules, the instructions in the Revel kit, but people have trouble all the time with their liquids getting really gummy, things getting stringy, and that's because if you were to leave all that excess powder on your nail and then go back in with this liquid and paint right over it, it's gonna pull it all up, it's gonna pull it into the brush, and that's just not a good idea. So I'm just gonna go in for now my second coat. I do one hand at a time, and in this second coat I am gonna go down to the cuticle. There's nothing on my brush, so I'm going to go ahead and put it back in. If you notice any kind of powder on your brush, obviously I have this paper towel underneath me. You can use it to, brush off if you need to. Normally I do 3 dips. I just like the opacity that it gives. I'm interested to see how these turn out with those tips underneath and all of that clear powder that I used. I think normally on a natural nail, that first dip probably would have shown up a little bit darker. More opaque, let me say. But I think with those tips underneath it, it just changes, the color, the base, what you're working with. So it might be a little bit different than normal. This can be a bit time consuming the first couple times you do it. I will tell you those tips, doing full hands of those tips was very time consuming, but that's just what I wanted to do. So, and I really think it would be so much fun and a great way to, get to do a different shape that you don't always do because you don't want to shape your nails into a coffin or whatever. So it's a great way to experiment with nail shape. The problem with real tips, from what I can tell, is that they're harder to blend into your natural nail because they're so thick on their own. The tea bag or coffee filter is so thin that it makes it much easier to blend it into your natural nail, so you don't have as much of a difference from this view. There's my second dip. And you guys, I know I mentioned it earlier, I am 6 months pregnant, I believe. I'm 29 weeks. I think that's still in the 6-month mark. If not, I'm 7 months. And no, I'm 6 months. And I'm now feeling carpal tunnel. So this makes it just makes doing your nails a little bit harder for sure, because my left hand, what I do the most work with, is currently tingling and feeling a bit numb. Obviously, I'm trying to brush over this container so that I can save the majority of the powder. But here's what we look like with a second dip. So definitely more opaque than the first. But I'm glad I'm gonna be doing a third one to really hopefully round everything out and make it super opaque. You might see on some of the nails, or maybe later on, like in my third dip or so, I'm getting a little bit heavier with the Probase. That's just because I really want it to get covered. So like this nail has some spots that you can definitely see through. So I just want to make sure I get some coverage, and then I'll go back before I dip it, just like I did now, and I will kind of pull off any of that excess with my brush. All right, 3 dips. Being a little messy with my powder, but what's cool about these guys is that you can drag it across and save some of it. So, not too much lost. Oh, that looks really good. Looks much better. 3 dips really does wonders, I feel like. And remember, if you're doing a glitter, you might do a 4th. Like, let's say this finger was a glitter and I had done 3 dips of the glitter for whatever reason. I would do a 4th dip just on this finger into that clear, so that when I'm buffing, which you'll see me do in a little bit, when I'm buffing this color, or that glitter finger, the glitter isn't getting buffed away, it's the clear that's getting buffed away. Because you will lose, when you're buffing, you're gonna lose some of the color, a little bit, anyway. All right, oh, I'm pleased with that. I'm so pleased with that. Okay, so this finger, I don't know if you can see it, but there is like some of the powder. I might have had too much liquid on this, and when I dipped it, the powder kind of pushed the liquid back and it created this little tiny ridge, but we can buff that out. Now, our next step, I'm gonna just finish one hand, and then I'll do the other hand off camera and show you the finished result. So once you've finished your dips, you can close up your powder, which I would recommend, so you don't potentially spill it. And you can close up your number 1. We're done with that one. Just as a side note, your number 1 top might be a different color. It might be pink. I can't remember. So I've had to use the brush softener, and remember, you just take out the brush that's bad. Let's say this one was bad. You just have to dry it off, make sure it's totally dry before you put it in the brush softener, and then you switch the one that was in here into that bottle. So I don't know if this is the same the way they came, but it doesn't matter. As long as your bottle says 1, 2, and 3, you're good. All right, so our next step is going to be number 2, which is the Activator. what we're gonna do is take some of our activator, and you just wanna douse that finger. What I would recommend is, because there is still powder on these nails that's not totally adhered, you know, I brushed it off, but I probably didn't get everything. I would recommend wiping your brush off on a paper towel before you put it back in here, because that can mess with the liquid. So you want to get it real good, brush it off. I'm gonna need a number 2. Need a replacement one already. I would imagine you go through, I have already gotten a number 1, another number 1, because, oh, I almost didn't do it, because you do 3 dips. So you use that, well, I do 3 dips. You use that 3 times. So that's a lot of liquid that you're using up from that specific bottle. I'm just gonna go back in and do a little bit more on this one. So it would make sense that you go through that one more. Okay, so once we've done our first coat of that activator, we need to let it dry for a minute. Now what you do is you go ahead and buff. So I'm gonna take my little 1-inch squares, and probably this guy as well, and just buff the surface. You can, if you could feel it right now, you'd feel it, it's a little bit rough. So you wanna buff it so that it's smooth. And we'll come back when that's done. Okay, so I'm done with my buffing. You would also, at this point, want to shape the edge of your nail if you are unhappy with how they turned out, because sometimes the powder can add some, you know, bumps or something along the edge. So you would definitely shape as well as buff your nails at this point. And the next step is to just go ahead and wash your hands without any soap. You just want to use water. Usually I'm just trying to get some of the excess powder out from the edges. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and we'll get to our next step. So I'm back with washed hands. I want to bring your attention to a couple of things, just my errors, or, you know, I know now that this application is not going to be perfect, not going to be my best one because of the, you know, the added experiment of the tips. So, trying to get as close as possible. You can see down at my cuticle, there's some space where there isn't powder. There's kind of unevenness. That's just because, I don't know, I didn't pay attention. I wasn't as intricate about it. Same on my middle finger. Down here, there's some space. But overall, they look good. So our next step is to take your number 2 again and just go back onto your nails and paint that step 2 again. Ooh, you get to see like the pretty color it's going to be. There shouldn't be any powder on your nails, so you should be fine to dip back in without, you know, putting it on the paper towel, but feel free. And once we're done with this step, we wait. You're officially done with your number 2, so you can put it away. We just wait 15 seconds to let that dry. And then we'll take a paper towel and just rub it, make sure our hands are dry before we go in with our final step. Okay, 15 seconds are up, so I'm just gonna take a corner of my paper towel, just rub it gently around the nail. And each time you order from Revel, you will get instructions. So every single time you order, you get the same set of instructions. But in case you lose it, or you misplace it, throw it away, whatever, you do get another set of instructions with every order. So that's pretty cool. And all of those instructions will be, all of the steps I'm mentioning will be on that page that you get from them. I will also put them down in the description box. So make sure you check that description box out because it's gonna have a lot of stuff in it. So now we are ready for our finished gel, or the number 3. So what you need to do with number 3 is you would do a quick coat on all of your nails. The instructions say to do 2 to 3 quick swipes. Don't worry about getting really close to the cuticle or, you know, making sure it's perfect. You just want to do 2 or 3 quick swipes. Do your whole hand, wait 15 seconds, and then go back in and do your final coat of the finished gel. So I'm going to get some of that on here, and I'm just going to 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. It's a little harder on your thumbnail. Mine's, you know, of course, bigger than the rest of them. So we've done our first little coat. Look how shiny they are already. That will dry down a little bit. You just need to wait 15 seconds, and then you can go in with your second coat. All right, so I'm gonna go in with my second coat, and this one you can be a little bit more particular about. You don't want to overbrush if you can help it, just because that will help with the finish. Overbrushing can show brush strokes once it's dried, so you don't want to get too fanatical about it, but you know me, I'm not gonna leave something there if it doesn't look good, so I brush quite a bit. Okay, and you are done. You have to wait probably 3 minutes or so for this top coat to dry, but they're crazy shiny. I love that. If I were to, I mean, I'm trying not to be too particular about how they came out. They do look a touch uneven as far as opacity, but I think that's just probably my preparation of these. The coffee filter tips, so I might spend a little bit more time on my hands before I start doing my dip on this hand, just to try and work through some of those issues. But otherwise, that color is awesome. It looks a little bit more purple than I was expecting. I was expecting like more of a cobalt. I don't know what you guys see, but to me, in person, it looks blue, but it's got some purple in it, for sure. And again, not as opaque as I wanted, but next application will be better. So that wraps up the dip application. I'll go ahead and pop in a picture of both of them done once I finish my other hand. But I hope that that helped you guys. I hope that gave you a lot of information. And that you try it out. So things that are going to be down in the description box, a link to Revel Nail to, you know, if you want to end up purchasing a starter kit or whatever. This video is not sponsored at all by them, by the way. It's just the company that I really love to use. So the link for them will be down below. It is a link that will get you 10% off, and it will also give me 200 points. So with Revel, they have a rewards program where the more you purchase, if you like them on Facebook, like them on Twitter, add your birthday, things like that, it will give you points, and you can turn those points in for dollars off your next purchase. So if you end up, you know, setting up an account with Revel or whatever, and then maybe your best friend wants to try it too, give them your link, because then that will give you some points. So that is what the link is down below. It also gets you, again, 10% off, which is awesome. There is a thank you code. I think it's still valid. Thank you 20, which is 20% off. And oh, I wanted to show you my favorite colors right now. So let me bust these guys out. I forgot about that. So remember that they're having a basically retirement sale. So there are certain colors that are retiring that are much lower than they normally would be in price. This color, Flattered, is probably, it's so hard to pick a favorite, but it's one of my favorites for sure. I just had it on my nails last week. That is this color. And the way I organized them on my stick was I put the name and if it was a retired color or not, just so I know that when I use it, or if my jar is getting low, I'll know that it's probably not available to repurchase. I, of course, love the bright pinks. I don't know if I'm saying this right, but Xinqiao is one of the Wanderlust collections powders. So that would come in a collection. You can't purchase that individually. The ones that come in that collection, let me just show you that, are Aloha, which is really pretty. It's like a really soft coral. Then a brighter orange coral, which is Ola. Xinqiao, which we just talked about. Namaste. Oh, my label's coming off. Namaste, which is kind of a bright, like mint green. Chow, which is like a little bit deeper than it's a lilac color, I would say, lilac. And then the last one, I believe, is Bonjour, which is a gray, a light gray. So if you wanted the Wanderlust collection, those are the ones that come in that. You will also get the nail mates that go along with it. So you will get the matching colors to those. Here's just an example of one. So it's the nail polish for Ola. So you can use it on your toes, whatever, but it does come in that Wanderlust collection. So you get the 6 colors and then 6 of these guys. I love the retired colors. I can't wait to use Fascinated. It's so hard to pick up on camera, but it has some glitter in it. It's like a very, very deep, deep teal, almost navy blue, with gold, like a gold shimmer glitter in it. Oh my gosh, can't wait to use that. Runway is also one of my favorites. It's one that's caused me some issues in the past, though, I will tell you. If you look very, very closely, and you know, probably people that are not fanatics like I am wouldn't, but if you look very, very closely, at least with mine, as well as the one that my best friend got, it has some black flecks in it. And I said it almost looks like Formica. I think it is a bad batch because other people's runways don't look like that. So that's all I can, you know, chalk it up to, but still, it's an awesome color. I love it. I cannot wait to do it with, sorry, I keep knocking the camera. I can't wait to do Runway and Bubbly together. Bubbly is a beautiful pink glitter. If you put this on top of another color, it actually doesn't change the color of the polish. It just adds that shimmer to it. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. I can't wait to do that. I do have another brand on here called RCM, Red Carpet Manicure. They are in Ulta. So if you wanted to purchase some, you could also go to Ulta. But again, Revel Nail to me is the best It's the most cost effective. They have a crazy amount of colors. I feel like it's close to 300. And I mean, you can buy it in the sizes, the 1/2 ounce, 1 ounce, 2 ounce. So I really, really love that. Another color that I'm really excited to wear is Tender. That is a retired color. It is a deep teal turquoise-ish color. I hope that's picking up. Cannot wait to wear that. So if you are gonna go for the retired ones, oh, and then Melissa is so good too. Melissa is a great color. Odd is also gonna be so beautiful. So retired colors that I would highly recommend you get just because they are so pretty. Flattered for sure. That's that peachy coral with the shimmer in it. So beautiful. I think I'm gonna wear that for my baby shower. Nicole is a really pretty, what's that? Like it's not quite red. It's definitely more pink to me. Tender, for sure. I picked up Charlotte because I also picked up another color called Him, and the combination of the two is like the perfect navy, so that's what I'm gonna do. That's another great thing about dip powders. You can mix them. You can do one layer of, one color and then the next layer of another, and you make a different color. You can't really do that with gel polish, so I think that's a huge draw for dip powder. I would pick up Fascinated if you like shimmer polishes, or shimmer nail colors. I normally don't. I'm normally not a glitter shimmer person, but that is just, I'm so glad I got that. You need Odd for sure. It's the perfect, I call it Shelby from Steel Magnolias. It's a perfect Steel Magnolias color. Melissa is also so pretty. Anne is like a brighter purple. Key, I love Key. I can't wait for the fall time to wear Key. It's like a very, very dark burgundy. Oh my gosh, so pretty. And then Canon. Canon is really great too. It has the subtlest, I mean, so subtle shimmer in it, but it is like it's like a dusty eggplant. And I'm so happy that I got it. I actually got it in a 2 ounce jar, so I'm so happy about that. Some of their glitters that are really fun are Isadora and Phoebe. The difference between the two, Isadora is a holo glitter, a holographic glitter, and then Phoebe is just a silver glitter. It's a little bit chunkier, but it's so pretty. So, I hope, again, that helped you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave your comments, questions down below in the description box. I'm going to leave the Revel link. I will also leave a list of my favorite colors that I just gave you. I will also leave the links to all my Amazon stuff that I found, like these tools, these buffers that are really awesome. I'm super glad that I got them. They're so easy to maneuver compared to these huge buffer blocks. And they have 2 grits on them. So I usually start out with the heavier grit and then I move to the softer grit to get a finer, what's the word? A smoother finish on my nail. I will also leave, what else was I gonna leave down there? Oh, the instructions. I'm gonna list the instructions too. Although you will, if you order from Revel, you will get them. But just to recap. All right. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye.